like talking to people.
Okay.
You have to talk to Joey Diaz. You can't text him. If you text him, he's like, call me, cocksucker. And you got to call him.
Okay, so for Joey Diaz, we can't lose that connection.
I like talking to people, man.
But you can text. You can send pictures.
Yeah,
That's your computer.
That.
You can do your work. You can do research. You
Memes.
can do memes. You can do everything. I'm on TikTok. You know, you can do whatever you want to do from this little piece of technology and that piece of technology.
It's definitely got pros and cons. And I don't even know if the con's a con. It's just an inevitability.
And I love that the artificial intelligence can enhance my intelligence.
Yeah,
and I could write a paper or a speech or come up with something or do a duet with somebody that without even being there.
Yeah.
The issue that I have is, can I maintain ownership of it? So it's more economical, and it's more about economics for me, and licensing and ownership and
that
IP.
Makes sense. I wonder if eventually that's going to be insurmountable. That the internet and the data will be so available that we won't be able to lock things down anymore.
Well, that's already happening. You know, in the old days,
Napster. That was the Napster.
But even
conundrum.
Spotify today, like you're on Spotify. I don't know that the average musician is as happy as they were when they were just working with a record company who were just dealing with terrestrial radio.
Well, they were definitely happier when they were selling records.
Right.
Selling records was huge.
Right.
And now nobody buys. I mean, very few people buy records.
Right.
They download them.
So if you were having the conversation 2 decades ago about what you're broadcasting on right now, people would go, we're going to lose control. Everybody's going to have access to everything, and they can manipulate it. But it also gives, it's easy access. I don't have to get up and go to a record store to find out who this artist that I love is and listen to this artist or listen to this podcast.
What I love more than anything is that you can ask your phone while you're driving. You press a button on Apple CarPlay and say, play Taylor Swift Better Man, and it'll just play it.
Right.
Instantly. I was with my daughter the other day, and I was like, what do you want to play? And I don't know these fucking songs. And she would just like tell me what to play. And you could just talk to the thing. I don't have to look at my phone. I just ask it. And instantly it's playing. It's amazing.
So are you afraid of this future that
No, listen, I'm not. I told you. I'm afraid because I know it's inevitable. I'm not afraid. I'm just like, woo-wee, this is going to be wild.
Right.
It's just a recognition of what I think is the inevitable.
Here's my fear. My fear is that we are not preparing for it. That it's going to happen. People like you who are very clear-minded are thinking about it. You are few and far between. If you go into it, my daughter is a teacher. Our curriculum is not set up to even, the math they're learning, the no life skills, nothing. They're not really learning to code. Code should be like we learned cursive. It's not part of our curriculum. Our world technically doesn't match our education. And we need to match that so there isn't fear. So we know we can find a way to control it or access it or use it. Yeah. And we don't have that. And we're not even set up for that.
Well, Andrew Yang talks about that a lot. He talks about automation and that AI and automation is going to replace so many jobs. There's going to be a giant percentage of our population that just no longer is employable. Whatever their skill was, they're going to have to find a totally new skill. That's why he was an advocate of universal basic income to bridge that gap.
And I totally agree with him.
It seems like that's definitely happening.
The original, they talk about, we had the Industrial Revolution. And that's kind of gone. It's now the digital revolution. And, the template was like Detroit, right? Where everybody just got kind of a C education. But then once you graduated, you can, if you had connections, you can get a job on the assembly line at Ford. And you would be taken care of for life, not only even after you worked, and the benefits. And then now we have, no, I'm still drinking this Laird. It's really good.
It's good stuff.
Laird Hamilton coffee, which is
pretty bomb diggity.
It is bomb diggity.
That's the turmeric. Turmeric. How do you say it? Turmeric.
I say turmeric.
Turmeric.
You say turmeric?
Yeah, I've heard people say it that way. I think they're wrong, though. I think it's turmeric.
But I'm just saying we're just not prepared. And what's really interesting is technology has, I think, since the beginning of time, been ahead of the curve. We invent something, we come up with something, and then we figure out how do you use this?
Right.
Like they don't know what the
I
implementation.
think some people do, and that's the real fear. Some people, like this guy who's advocating for a digital god, like they do know where it's going because they actually work in technology. And it's not freaking them out.
But it's like Columbus, like everybody thought the world was flat. He got a couple of people to get on a boat and we didn't know what that was going to mean.
See if we can find where Elon talks about this part, because that was the most fascinating to me.
I mean, the reason OpenAI exists at all
So this is what he said earlier, but it's going to continue.
Larry Page and I used to be close friends, and I would stay at his house in Palo Alto, and I would talk to him.
You got to realize these are the people that are at the pinnacle of technology,
and they're having slumber parties.
Was that Larry was
very
not
aware.
taking AI safety seriously enough.
What did he say about it?
He really seemed to be one sort of digital superintelligence, basically digital God, if you will, as soon as possible.
He wanted that?
Yes. He's made many public statements over the years that the whole goal of Google is what's called AGI, artificial general intelligence or artificial superintelligence. And I agree with him that there's great potential for good, but there's also potential for bad. And so if you've got some radical new technology, you want to try to take the set of actions that maximize the probability it will do good and minimize the probability it will do bad things.
Yes.
It can't just be hell for leather. Let's just go, barreling forward and, hope for the best. And then at one point, I said, well, what about, we're going to make sure humanity's okay here. And
I go laugh.
And then he called me a speciesist.
Did he use that term?
Yes. And there were witnesses. I wasn't the only one there when he called me a speciesist. And so I was like, okay, that's it. Yes, I'm a speciesist. Okay. You got me. What are you? Yeah, I'm fully a speciesist.
That's a funny
busted.
line.
Busted.
So that was the last straw. At the time,
How wild is that?